On that note, I'd like to bring in somebody who's run for local government. He's run for D.C. mayor. His name is James Butler. He's a Democrat based in D.C., moderate Democrat. James, thank you for being with us here on Show Me Live.
Thanks for having you, Matt. I appreciate it. It's been a long day. How are you?
Awake. uh, we're awake and we're ready. What are you seeing? Any surprises? Anything that the Harris camp, the Democrats, were not expecting that has come through so far as polls continue to close?
Well, it's shaping up to be an interesting night, as I'm sure you all have observed. One thing that did strike me as a little bit surprising at one point, and you may recall this, there was some belief that Florida was still in play, that Florida might be a swing state, but it
Mm-hmm.
appeared to be solidly and called already by the AP for Donald Trump. So I think that was a surprise. They're still looking at Iowa with some caution, even though I don't believe the state has been caught yet. And then, as we are expecting, these states, the seven swing states in the blue wall, it's really very close. The urban areas are still, of course, those are typically tabulated later
Mm-hmm.
than some of these less populated rural areas. So, no real surprises besides the Florida. And the only other surprise, I guess, would be I think at some point there was a belief that Iowa's was in the contention to flip blue, and I don't think they're going to quite call that, or there's still some concern that that in fact may not be the case.
Sure. Want to talk about Harris's strengths and her weaknesses. Full disclosure, you and I were together earlier today, and we were actually
That's right.
talking about this. You think the Dems could have actually done a little bit better with regard to how they handled Harris, how they handled the transition. Where have the missteps been, and what has she actually ended up doing much better than President Biden would have done at this
Well,
point?
Well, thanks, Matt. I really do believe that the Biden administration probably knew of Joe Biden's poor health throughout a significant portion of his tenure. And I believe that Harris should have had much more exposure during that time and before, during her vice presidency. So, had she had that, I think she would have been better prepared. Now, so I guess it was just making the best of a bad situation for Democrats. I do think had she had that type of exposure, we'd have a better candidate. But that said, I'm pleased with how she has energized the base, how she's gotten young voters out, how she's gotten women out, how she's articulated her message for the nation. I don't think either candidate has articulated an economic plan that many or most Americans would like to hear, but I do think she's distilled many of her plans regarding health care, women's rights. Even she's talked about the economy a little bit and shoring that up, and stopping the price gouging and the tip wages. Some people may argue that came after Donald Trump, but those are things that I think people can find as real tangibles. And so those are good things that clearly weren't being expressed by Joe Biden. And on top of that, his age and frail health was clearly a significant issue. Could we have had a better candidate? Probably, but we have who we have, and it seems like folks are backing her. It is just going to be a very close and tight race.
Earlier, I was talking about, and I know we talked about this, my concerns that I'm hearing from Democrats about how Harris ascended to the top of the ticket. What do you say to the now decided voters or those who, Democrats who are concerned that this might be the beginning of a slippery slope? What do you say to people that are concerned about just the way that a candidate can be replaced on the ballot in the manner that she was?
Well, I don't want to assume that this is going to be something that happens with any
Oh, sure.
regularity. I think this is a one-off, rare case where you had a president whose mental acuity and health was questioned. by most people who observed him. And there was pressure from the party, and he made the right decision. Even though, some people might argue it should have been a brokered convention, there should have been people that ran against Harris and so on. I think in the interest of time, the party acted in the interest of time. And so I don't think it was undemocratic like a lot of people were saying, because no one has articulated to me where any principles of democracy were broken or any constitutional provisions were broken in the replacement of the party's nominee. I believe everything was followed to the letter of the law, even though it may not have pleased some people that she didn't run a primary, didn't win a primary. I still believe protocol was followed. I think it's a one-off. I don't think we have to worry about something like this in the foreseeable future with either party.
I think so too, and I hope not. It was
Yeah.
more of a thought exercise because it is uncharted territory, and this
Yeah,
election will go down in history as America having navigated something we have never navigated before. I want to get into
that
the
is true.
issues here for you in our last few minutes. The economy, in particular, second most only to the state of democracy, which is a little bit more nebulous. Economy we can dig into. Harris talked about the opportunity economy. Trump continued to hit the administration on inflation. Do you feel that that message of an opportunity economy has resonated, even though she has not provided much detail about it?
Well, one thing we do know is the economy is the primary issue in all 50 states for voters. We know it is the controlling issue in the seven swing states, but we're seeing good numbers. So, I always say this, Matt, that markets will tell you what they want. The market will tell you what it wants or how it feels. And I think right now we're seeing Harris performing quite well. We anticipate that. She could pull the presidency off now. And this is surprising because I felt differently, say, this morning and several weeks up until that. I am seeing her performance, and these are early performance, as you all know, in the swing states and then the states that we refer to as the blue wall, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. And those numbers look good. The numbers coming out of the urban areas look great. And even I'm seeing that she's performing better than Joe Biden did when he beat Donald Trump in 2020. So seeing her overperform Joe Biden in these areas, I have to say that that message of an opportunity economy is very likely resonating with voters, and they're voting their feelings at the polls.
Right. No. And in the event that President Trump does win, I'm not somebody, as I would hope most Americans are, and I know you are. I don't like division. I want unification. What message of hope would you have for Democrats if we do end up with a Trump presidency at the end of the night? Uh, Sorry, I'm just getting a message here. I need to look at that. Um, what message would you have at the end of the night if it isn't going the Democrats' way? What would you say to calm their anxiety?
I would encourage every Democrat to understand that the more we push against the other side in our democracy, the more it will divide us. And, we can strive to be a country to stand united, or we will certainly fall divided. And that would really be the message, because I have, being a middle-aged man, I'll be 50 next year, and I have not seen in my lifetime politics this polarizing, the rift this huge, and so that concerns me. But if we continue to ostracize, belittle, amplify things that are not true about the other side, and just generally hate them, it's going to only make the rift bigger. And so I would tell them we have to work to unify our country, to be united, or we will fall divided.
Absolutely. I think that's a powerful message no matter which side wins or loses. James Butler here in D.C., thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate having you.
Gentlemen, thank you.